Japan, considered one of the strongest nations in Rise of Nations. It's also bordering the strongest nation in Rise of Nations. But how do you beat China? Well, it's kind of hard if they're good at the game. All this guide is gonna do is turn the odds in your favor, but you should still be able to beat an average China player during your games. Whatever it be 50% or 90% of the time, depends on your luck. But let us begin. You have to of course pick Japan first, and then we can begin. So, as Japan, first of all, justify on both Koreas, South Korea and North Korea. Get the factory output 2, get the doctrine mass attack, and get the policy tax reform. Build one of each factory, one electronic, one fertilizer, one motor, and one steel factory, and then build 3 more civilian factories, as your treasury builds up. And to do that, get max government spending and max taxation. Now build 1 extra motor factory and 3 more civilian factories. You will afford it in time, so you just have to wait. Then buy all the resources when you're nearly done with the factories. And then attack North Korea when you're ready. Only with your infantry, don't build tanks yet. You can also justify on a random nation. I'm justifying on Taiwan in this case, because we're gonna be attacking China in our next war. That's why you wanna save your justification slot, because it takes a long time for Japan to justify. And also, sell consumer goods now. In this case, India is an AI, so I'm gonna sell to India. Get a small navy, not too large, because we kinda wanna save money for building tanks. Create 3 military groups. It's not really important, because we're gonna be killing China really quickly. Now China is also attacking North Korea, but that doesn't really matter, we just have to take over North Korea faster. And then just attack South Korea. And now we justify on China, after calculating how long it will take to attack and kill South Korea. In this case, I am estimating that we will be able to kill South Korea in time before the war with China. So now we just spam tanks. Tanks and tanks. You need so many tanks to kill China. It's insane. So just spam tanks right now. That's all there is to it. Just spam tanks and move them all to the Koreas and bordering Manchuria. You should also get an aircraft manufactory and get some attackers in your capital, because they're really OP. Especially when China just spams infantry. Now the war with China. Just move all your tanks to the Manchuria border and then just freaking spam that shit. Manchuria is their biggest weakness, not their capital. The capital is actually very well defended, and it would be really hard to attack that, even from sea. That's why it's not recommended, especially considering that their troops spawn in the capital, so that's even worse of a thing to attack. So don't attack the capital, instead just go straight for Manchuria. They will take a huge stab loss from that and get a lot of war exhaustion. Okay, of course my tanks is really lagging, but if you have around 15 to 10,000 tanks, you should be able to take Manchuria in less than a month, not accounting for lag. That's annoying. And you can also send some small armies down in the south of China to just distract them. But don't send out too many, because you still want to keep your main front on Manchuria. That's really important. Stay on Manchuria. Don't leave Manchuria, please. You can also justify random nations now, just AI nations that you need to form, because it takes a lot of time, like I said, and it just saves time. Yippee. Now you can go for the capital when their capital is exposed and there's no really guards guarding the capital. And then we just spam tanks. And that's about it. That's how you kill China really quickly, with a punch in the gut in Manchuria, their biggest weakness. Now, my China player was actually pretty nice and actually surrendered, but yours might not do that, so it might take some extra months or years if your China player decides to, you know, be annoying, scorch, and just spam troops at you. Now it's just about consolidating your power. All your troops, because it's gonna be too expensive to hold them still, Remove all your trades that buys unnecessary resources like oil, because you don't need oil at the moment. Now, you might be suffering through an economic crisis, but it should still be fine. The economic crisis will only last during the time you have unrest in China. When the unrest goes away, boom, you'll start earning more money than you've ever seen before. You'll be the richest person alive on the server. But before that, you have to manage your economy so you don't go into debt, or your land declares independence. And the way to do that is by switching between max and non-government spending. When you have around 40% or under 40% stability, then you should go max government spending. That way you earn more stability. And when you have more stability, then you should go no government spending. And that way you earn more money to afford going max government spending again. And keep doing that until the unrest is gone, and after that you can do whatever you want. There's no one that can stop you. You're the strongest country alive. You can switch ideology if you want to, but I don't like doing that because you're only playing for the long game. You can play tall, you can play Empire of Japan. You can form Empire of Japan. Go do whatever. It's your choice, your game. Good luck. If China decides to immediately attack South Korea and North Korea, then oh god, do we have a problem on our hands. As a response to this, you have to immediately take at least one city, more if you can. And I would recommend taking it in South Korea, because taking it in North Korea, you would not have enough time to do that, as you can see in my clip. I had barely enough time to get even one city in South Korea. And when you get that one city, just spam all your tanks, all your troops into that one single city and immediately justify on China, because you want to attack immediately. China is a menace. If they fortify Korea, then you basically stand no chance. You have to build a huge navy, and yeah, I would just rather leave in that case. But if they lead the Korean peninsula, oh god, then they're just a joke. Just spam Korea, just spam your tanks like you did in Manchuria, and it will be easy. It's basically double the effect, because the Korea peninsula has like almost the same population as Manchuria, even more. So, the punch in the gut will be double the effective. They're already collapsing, we're already getting through, and they're just simply collapsing easily. Now just follow the same tactic as we did when we just attacked them normally. They're dead. And of course, in true Chinese fashion, we of course have to scorch our lands. Because that is what every single China player does. Now some tips and tricks if you're playing as Japan. I'm only gonna go off the basis that you are democracy, not fascist or nationalist, since that is very late in the game and I'd rather not play that late. And also I recommend you play as democracy because it's the best. You have an advantage at the beginning of the game, you use your advantage, please. So first of all, tip number 1. Don't attack the small nations you need to form. Instead, lure the other players to attack them first, and then you attack the player. That way you save some extra stability, because you only have to attack the player, and you don't have to attack the AI nations. Of course, if you're not good at attacking players, then I recommend just you attack AI nations. But if you can kill players with sheer numbers, then sure. Do it. It's the best idea because you save stability. Now, another tip for playing as Japan is that you should use all your political power to go extra conscription. Manpower is a very necessary thing you need as Japan because you don't have a lot, because you have the volunteers. You don't want that. You want limited conscription because it's the best. You want as much manpower as you can. Another tip is that you can actually get a naval doctrine at the beginning of the game. Of course, mass attack is always good because you can use it to spam tanks in China. But at the same time, if you get the capital ship doctrine, you can spam aircraft carriers. And that's even better. But on the other hand, it's very expensive. So only do that if you don't immediately attack China at the beginning of the game, or you have a strong economy, or get a good event. But yeah, that's about it. See ya!